Hey, my name is Travis Albritton, head of content at Buzzsprout, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can submit your podcast to be listed in Pandora. So you're going to need two things. One, you're going to need a Pandora account. So if you don't have a Pandora account yet, you need to go ahead and create one. They're free, but you just need to get one set up. And then you'll also need access to your RSS feed. So I've got this other tab open over here, and this is the podcast we're going to be submitting to Pandora today. It's our 5-Minute Mondays podcast produced and hosted by Buzzsprout. And so you will need access to this feed. If you use a podcast host, you just need to have your feed somewhere that you can get it because you'll need that to submit your podcast. All right, so let's go ahead and get started because I've already created an account. So now, see, step one, podcast RSS feed URL. So all you have to do is go over to your podcast host, copy your RSS feed, and then we're going to paste it right there. And then hit next. So Pandora goes ahead and pulls your basic podcast data. This is the summary data, the title, the artwork that other podcast players like Apple Podcasts and Spotify pull in. And here it's going to ask you for more details about your podcast. So for playback order, we are going to do episodic. If your podcast needs to be played in a specific order, like episode 1 needs to precede episode 2, then you would choose serial. But for our case, we're going to choose episodic. For freshness, you want to select if your content is evergreen, meaning if you listen to the episode today or 3 years from now, it'll be just as relevant to the person listening to it. Or timely is if you're covering like news stories or things that are relevant in the day-to-day. So if you're covering politics or sports or something like that, you'll want to choose timely. But for our purposes, we're going to choose evergreen. And then your MPAA rating, essentially how family-friendly is your content. And for this, don't sweat it too much. If you use mature content, if you use curse words and things like that, go ahead and choose mature audience. If you're kind of middle of the road, go ahead and choose general audience. But if you're family-friendly, then go for G. But we're going to choose PG for our purposes. Branding. Is your show branded content? So what Pandora wants to know is if somebody is sponsoring your podcast. So for our purposes, the answer is no. But if you do have a sponsor, then you'll need to put in the name of your sponsor. And then here, this downloads number, average downloads per episode within 30 days of episode drop. So this is where Pandora wants to get a sense of how many people are listening to your podcast right now. And these are stats that should be available to you in your podcast host. I'm going to show you how I get the stats from Buzzsprout, but these are two fields that you will want to fill out. So first, average downloads per episode within 30 days of episode drop. So what you want to do if you use Buzzsprout is go to your episodes tab and then scroll down to an episode that was published about a month ago. So I'm recording this on August 28th. So I want to look for something around July 28th. Here's an episode that was published on July 29th. And I can see that I had 324 downloads or 324 plays on that episode. And that's normal. You can see I have a range between 250, got a 330 up here, another 325. So that's a good number for me to pull. So I'm going to use this 324 number right here. And then for total downloads, Pandora wants only US downloads, all right, in the last 12 months. So if your podcast is older than 12 months, you'll need to look at the total plays for the past year for US. And if your podcast is less than 12 months old, then you can include all of your US plays. So your podcast host, again, should be able to provide those statistics to you. If it's not super clear in their stats, you can always reach out to their support team and ask them to pull the data for you. But I'm going to show you how you can do it in Buzzsprout. So this podcast is less than a year old. And so if I go to stats and locations, I can see my stats breakdown by country, right? So we're looking for the US stats. And here it says 1,040 plays. But this is for my last 5 episodes. So if I want to see all of the stats from all of my episodes over the past year, then what you want to do is on this tab, select last 10 episodes, but then I want to change this limit right here to something way more than what my podcast actually has. So now it is showing all of my episodes, because there's fewer than 200 episodes in the 5 Minute Mondays podcast feed. And so now I can see that all of my plays of all time, I have 3,877 plays in the United States for this podcast. And that is the number that Pandora wants. So I'm going to go back to Pandora and type in 3,877. So next, Pandora is going to ask you about selling ads in your podcast. At this point in time, since they've just opened this submission process up to anyone to submit their podcast feed, we don't have a lot of details about what this looks like and what criteria they're looking for. But if you're interested, then in this drop-down menu, you just select yes. But for our purposes, we're going to select no because we don't need the Pandora ad money. And then here, you can list all of your podcast's social media feeds. So when somebody goes to your profile, your Pandora artist profile, they'll be able to connect with all of your social media handles. So for us, we have Buzzsprout, Facebook.com/Buzzsprout. We don't have a Wikipedia page, but we do have a YouTube channel, so we'll put that there as well. And then we'll click next. So now we can see that our podcast has been successfully submitted to Pandora. And as you can see on the screen, they ask for 4 to 6 weeks for them to review your podcast. So this doesn't happen overnight, but at least we know that we have successfully submitted it. And here you can see that I actually submitted a different podcast as well. So our other podcast, How to Start a Podcast, we submitted to be listed in Pandora. And then when either of these podcasts is accepted or denied entry into Pandora for some reason, then Pandora will let us know when those podcast submissions are resolved. And then if you have another podcast that you want to submit, then you just jump over here, press this button, and you start the process over for your next podcast that you want to submit into Pandora. Hey there, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to watch more podcast videos, click here to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also click up here to see one of our recent videos, which was pretty fun. We had a lot of fun doing this one. And then this one down here, also a good option. You got 2 great options. Either one. Just pick one. It's okay, I'll wait.